Hey everybody, back in my garage to do some more parts for the Nismo. Today I've got probably more aesthetic than anything else. I think the Nismo should have came with these parts from the factory, but you know, I know the price was already high enough on it, so maybe they did that for cost reduction. I'm not sure. I feel like they could have included it, and it should have been part of it, but it was not, and it's something that I just had to have on my Nismo. So before I get into that, I finally got a couple of new pieces hung up here. So trademarking the name Nismo here. And then I also got a pretty cool neon Nismo sign over there. I'm still kind of finishing up that wall. So I'll give you guys a look once it's done. So back to it. The mods I have today are the Nismo intake, or I'm sorry, Nismo engine cover and the Nismo brace. So interesting enough, this is the first Nismo piece that I've gotten that has instructions. It would have been nice for Nissan to put instructions on the intakes, even though I was able to get through it. The brace is kind of, I would say, a pretty easy install, so not sure why they decided to do it on the strut tower bar. But I went with the anodized black version. I think that's going to work well and then nice in the engine bay for the wrap that I have planned for the Nismo, and then the carbon fiber engine cover, which is just gorgeous. This red stripe that matches the red stripe around the Nismo, the metal Nismo plate here, although I do see it kind of lifting up a little bit, so I may have to re-glue that. You know, just brand new out of the box, and it's hasn't even had any heat cycles yet, and it's lifting up. So I may have to find some stronger heat resistant glue to put on there if it does end up coming all the way off. It's probably just a cheap double-sided tape, which is unfortunate because these things are like $600 or $700. So you know, you figured they would have studded it in the rear somehow to make sure that it wouldn't come off. But regardless, it's definitely beautiful carbon fiber. I probably am going to ceramic coat this. Carbon fiber in an engine bay doesn't tend to do well at high heat cycles. So what I found with my Z32 and all the carbon fiber that I have in the engine of that is doing a 9H or 10H ceramic on it once a year has kept the gloss from fading, kept it looking like new. So I would suggest, obviously I'm an Adams fan, but going with a good high quality ceramic coating for anything that's going to be in the engine bay or anything that's going to get a lot of direct sunlight, you're going to want to put a ceramic coat on it. Ceramic's really easy to apply. I will show you that once I do the install, how to apply ceramic coat, but it's super easy. And if you go with a good quality one like Adams, it's going to last a long time. I preemptively do it every year just because I want my carbon fiber to have that nice sheen, that nice gloss, and not to get that foggy faded look that you get from lots of heat cycles, or out here in Colorado being at a mile high. We tend to get it on a lot of hoods. Anything that's wrapped in carbon fiber or capped in carbon fiber. So I found putting that ceramic coating on it makes it last. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the stock one. It looks like just 3 bolts here, super easy. And then there are some bolts, which I believe are maybe hex or 10s here. I think there are 4 or 3. So I'll remove that and bring you guys back when those are done. So I got the strut brace bolts off. Being this only has like 3,000 miles on it, they were super easy to get off. I would say 35 foot-pound of torque max. If you don't have one, this is a great tool to get for the price. It makes these jobs a whole lot easier. This one has an articulating top. And then also it's got the hold, I forget what it's called exactly, but like hold torque. So if it doesn't have enough power to loosen something up, it'll stop, and then you can manually turn it to get it going. So Definitely a really good tool to have that has made jobs a lot easier, and it's definitely paid for itself over the years. So just remove this out here. We'll see if I can do it one-handed. Just come straight out. Ooh, this is heavy. So there might be some performance add to the new one, because the new one, I don't know what the rigidity is versus the old one, but this is super heavy. So we'll definitely have to throw this on a scale and see what the weight savings is compared to the new ones. These almost weigh nothing. I would say maybe a pound per section or less than a pound. And this is definitely, you know, 7-8 pounds. So yeah, maybe a 5-6 pound savings. We'll see what the website says, and I'll post that in the comments or in the description. So it looks like, based on the directions, you put it together first, which it comes with these 4 bolts that have the inlays put into them, and then install it in reverse, which is just the 2 bolts here and then the bolt here. So yeah, I'll get that put together and then put on. First, I'm going to take off the intake. Now the intake, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it intake. The engine cover didn't come with any hardware, and I'm wondering if that's correct, because it does not mount the same way as the existing one. It has these kind of bottom hook ends. So I'm wondering when I take this off, what these are going to hook into. Maybe I'm wrong and there is no accessory, or there is no additional parts needed. But we'll take a look at that once I get this one off. I did pull out the church key or hex key, I forget, whatever you call it, on my toolkit here on my Husky kit. It's a number 5 hex key, church key, to take the 3, what I can see so far, the 3 bolts out. So I'll go ahead and do that and bring you back when I'm done. All right, so this is pretty cool. So it shouldn't come with any hardware, which is good, then I'm not missing anything. And from what I can see, it looks like there are not only the 3 bolts that hold the top up, but there's these little grommets that connect into these guys here. And it appears that you just move the grommets from one side to the other, which is pretty cool. It'll make working on the Z just a little bit easier, because it's 3 less bolts to remove, and you don't need to pull out the Allen key, the church key, whatever you call it, to remove it. So I'm going to remove those grommets and add them to the carbon fiber one. All right, so I got them out of the lower piece, just this rubber deal here that connects to those little mountings. Just used a flathead, super easy to pull out. If you try to do it by hand, they didn't work too well. I think you need to kind of get in there. So I just kind of pushed it in there like that. Wiggle it back and forth. Make sure not to push too hard where you're damaging the rubber there, but kind of wiggle it back and forth, and they pull out pretty easily. I got that one there. And again, just a little wiggle. Try not to, you know, cut it open. Again, mine only has 3,000 miles on it, so this might be something, if you're doing it with a higher mileage Z, that you want to just go ahead and buy 4 new of these ones, these guys here. So that was the upper piece there, and let's move over to the carbon fiber one. You'll want to put something below if you're working on a table, just so you don't scratch up your brand new fancy carbon fiber engine cover, Nismo engine cover. But let's see how easily these go back in. A little bit of a pain. Let's try this one over here, since it's closer for leverage wise. Let's see if the reverse works pushing them in. Yep, the reverse with the flathead is the way to go. So we'll just stick it in there. I'm kind of pinching the lower part of it and then just pushing with the flathead. And they are a little bit of a pain, but they do pop in. Make sure they're nice and flat. You can pretty much kind of feel when they're in there correctly. You might have to jiggle them a little bit and they'll go in and become circular again. Again, you don't want to put too much force on them with a flathead because you will probably pull through there. I was putting probably about, I don't know, 20-30% pressure in there and then pushing it with my thumb and trying to collapse it as it goes through the bracket here. So that's going to be it for that piece. So let me throw that on. And again, we'll just want to align. You can see the two top nubs up top there. So we'll come up around and make sure the top ones are aligned. Oh wait, I've got to get the correct orientation. There we go. And then just push down, they clip in, push down, and that is the install of the engine cover. Super easy and really adds a nice aesthetic to the Nismo engine bay, or any Z's engine bay for that matter. I will wipe it all off once I have the strut bar in. All right, I've got the brace ready for assembly. You'll just want to double check, make sure you have the orientation correct, because you can put it on, you know, any way that you want to, but obviously it's only going to fit in one direction. So just make sure you have the orientation correct for the Nismo emblem here, and that they're facing, the flat side is obviously going to go to the point of the car for mounting, and the bolts would come up from the engine, from the nose of the Z. The hex or the church key or whatever is a size 6, so you'll need a size 6 in order to get these tightened up in there. I've got these put in. And probably wait to like super tighten them until it's on the vehicle, just in case there is a little area where I need to adjust. I don't think so. Doesn't look like there's much adjustment. So screw these in. Would have been nice for Nismo or Nissan to provide anodized black hardware. Can't all see these too much, but with a black strut brace, it would have been cool to have the hardware black. Again, just at the price point. I mean, these are not cheap. So it would have been nice to have Nismo. Again, I don't want to tighten them too much, just in case I need to. There is a slight adjustment in there. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but... Oh, and one thing I forgot. I've had some feedback. If you run the Nismo strut brace and the Nismo carbon fiber engine cover, there is some design flaw where there's a little rubbing into the carbon fiber engine cover. So I ordered some just thin foam protective for the engine cover. So I'll show you that. It just got it from Amazon. I think it was $5. I got way more than I needed, but you can't buy it in any smaller amounts. So I will show you that now as well, and we'll get a piece of that cut and added to the engine fiber cover. I probably could have done that before I tacked it onto the car, but forgot about it until I looked at this, and it reminded me that a couple people who have run this exact same setup had said it had started to rub through the carbon fiber. So again, another unfortunate thing. Nismo could have taken their time a little bit longer to release to market and maybe made this just a 16th or a 32nd smaller or thinner, so that didn't do that when the engine is under load. So let me grab that and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is what I got here from Amazon. Like I said, I think this was like $5. The formal name of it is foam weather stripping tape 2-inch. And so I'm going to do a quick measurement of the engine cover and see how much I need to add. That's going to be to this piece right in here. So I'm going to add that in there just to prevent any rubbing on the carbon fiber intake. It's black. So I don't think we'll see too much of it. I may trim it depending on how it sits in there, but I think it's going to only sit in there just about probably a 1/4 inch higher on each side and then lay flat on the bottom, which is good for me. The strut brace will cover that up anyways. All right, so have to just pop off, and it was easier to do this on my workbench. So I just cut a piece here, put it on there, and made sure it aligned both sides evenly. And then now I'm just going to trim this piece down so that it's not hanging over. But I think this is the perfect solution if you're going to run this exact same setup to prevent any rubbing. I would believe the rubbing is down here, but once I get the strut bar installed, I'll see if anything needs to be added on either side up here. But I think it's in this inlay, what I've heard some descriptions of. So, and this stuff was really malleable and feels like it's gonna stay on there. So this is a good solution, I think. I'll let you guys know a follow-up in a couple of months after it's run some heat cycles. All right, and to trim, I just used a vinyl knife that I use when I do wraps and stuff. Brand new blade, super sharp, and then I could just go along each angle so that it's nice and clean and looks like, you know, it could have possibly came from the factory like that. So that's what we're left with. Again, I think the engine strut cover or engine brace is going to cover this up anyways. So I don't think you'll see it, but I like to make sure everything's done nice and clean. So that's what we have. I'll put this back on and we'll work on getting the brace installed. All right, I got it on and did a test fit, and it does appear it still does touch up here, and I really don't want this engine cover messed with, or a brace, it's carbon fiber engine cover to get rubbing on it. So I did cut another little tiny piece to butt up against that. So we'll see how that works. All right, that seemed to do the trick. It's nice and covered. Semi looks like it could be OEM. It's not hitting down here. I may trim some more of that off if I feel like I don't like it. Right now I feel okay with it. There's quite a bit of back and forth, left to right, so you just make sure you get it centered. There's a little bit up and back. I've pushed it back as far as it will go because the front is where I could see a potential for rubbing. So before I tweak it down, I'm just going to make sure it's aligned with the engine Nismo cover up there, and that seems to be a little further to the passenger side than the driver's side. So I will tweak these down. Yeah, it definitely pushed up against that foam. Again, I was keeping pressure to push it back. Not a whole lot of maneuverability front to back. There is enough area in here. If they would have just adjusted the design of the cover, they wouldn't have had this issue. There's enough room in here. If it was pushed forward just a tad, it wouldn't have any place to touch there. So again, probably a to market design cover issue than anything else. You can tell it's a little bit tighter up here than it is back there, but it sure does look pretty. Again, I'm keeping pressure even though it's pretty much locked in now. And that one's tight. That one's tight. Tight. And we'll go back over here. Tighten these other two. And give it one little twist, which is good. And there we go. There's the install. Wipe it all down, take some pictures of it. But yeah, it's aesthetically nice. Again, I'll figure out if they've listed it. If not, I'll weigh what the stock one weighs. This is definitely half, if not 30% of the weight of the stock one. Carbon fiber covers probably about the same, probably half. It's pretty light compared to the OEM one. Not that the OEM one is heavy in any fashion. But like I said, this for me was just more aesthetics, it being a Nismo. I hope Nismo eventually comes out with Nismo coolers. I know they have the heat exchanger. I'm going to do that. I've got the reservoir from Nismo. I'm going to do that. I've got the Nismo oil caps and coolant caps as well that are going to get done. So that's where we're at so far. Clean everything up and take some pictures.